Hello and welcome to this podcast dedicated to the phenomenon of twin flames and sacred couples. In this video, I will explain whether the phenomenon of twin flames is real and if so, what its characteristics are. There are videos by therapists and energy healers who claim that it doesn't exist, that their clients suffer because of this connection, and that it's a new age invention that traps them in an illusion. Generally speaking, you should be cautious with people who claim to know what is true or false and who assert that something does or does not exist. Their answer comes from their ego, and often from their spiritual ego. As for me, the information I share with you comes from what I have understood through my own twin flame journey, from various shows and books dedicated to this subject and to spirituality, but also from the guidance I receive through my connection with my higher consciousness. After taking animal communication courses, a door was opened, and I started receiving messages from what I thought was my guardian angel, but which is actually my higher consciousness. That being said, it's up to you to adapt this information to your own life and to feel whether it resonates with you. Once again, no one should tell you what to believe or not to believe. Let's get back to the twin flame connection. It's not a new age invention, it's a reality for those who experience it. But to better understand what twin flames are, we first need to realize that there are soul connections such as soulmates, twin souls, twin flames, sacred couples, and to see how this is possible. Let's start by analyzing how each human being is made up. There is our physical body, the energetic bodies, then the soul and the higher consciousness. We are triune beings in the image of God. Body, the body that contains the physical and energetic bodies, the soul, which links the bodies, and our higher consciousness. Higher consciousness, which itself is never incarnated, but is present at the level of the source. Many people use the word soul to refer to higher consciousness or the spirit because there is confusion with the same words consciousness and spirit, which are also used to talk about the brain. But the brain itself is indeed in the body. The soul is not the higher consciousness, but it simply serves as the link to it. To explain the Trinity, Saint Hildegard of Bingen, Doctor of the Church, explains that Mary is the wife of the Holy Spirit. And I will keep the name Mary as the feminine creative principle, outside of the Catholic perspective. This is not about the physical person who was the mother of Jesus, but about the mother goddess of worlds. So God the Source, the Father, creates a sacred couple. The first Trinity is Source Father, Mary the Mother, and the Holy Spirit. Mary and the Holy Spirit beget the Son, the Christic principle, who acts within the created worlds. Mary is therefore doubly the mother of Christ, both spiritually and physically, in the person of Jesus. The Christic principle is the bridge, the passage to return to the source. This is what the six-pointed star, known as the Star of Solomon, represents. The two trinities that create the worlds. One trinity descends toward man, and one trinity allows us to return to the source. The base of the triangle is Mary and the Holy Spirit. The top point is the Father, the source. The bottom point is the Son, the Christ. In all traditions there is this reference to sacred couples. In Egypt, Isis and Osiris and their son Horus. By the way, they were not brother and sister. The confusion comes from a lack of understanding of this sacred, not genetic twinship. In Japan, the man Izanagi and the woman Izanami create the first land. In India, the shared throne of Shiva and Shakti. To the creative and masculine principle is associated a preservative and feminine principle. In the Shakta tradition, the universal feminine principle governing the universe and the great goddess is called Parashakti, the mother of all energies, analogous to the principle of Mary. In Peru, the god Inti, the sun god, ordered his children to build the Inca capital in a place on earth where a divine golden cloud transported them. His children were Manco Capac and Mama Oclo, the principle that gives rise to a creative couple. This can be found everywhere. This helps us better understand the Trinity that makes us up. The higher consciousness of each being generates a soul for each incarnation and a body. From the point of view of our higher consciousness, all our lives happen at the same time. Lives can be on Earth, but also on other planets or galaxies. For us, of course, it is not at the same time. And often we have cycles of life on the same planetary system in order to evolve from one life to the next. This is what reincarnation is. We can represent this as a tree. The roots are the source, the trunk is the consciousness, and the branches are like individual lives, with the soul positioned at the intersection of the branch and the trunk. When we die, the memory of the life rises up to the level of the soul. This is what mediums connect to. Reincarnation is known in all traditions. Before our incarnation, we decide to return to embody a specific person with their own difficulties and challenges to face, in order to understand something or to repair what we have done in other lives. This is what karma is. We associate with other souls, soulmates, either to help us or to create difficulties for us, depending on what we have come to experience. Soulmates can be parents, brothers, sisters, family members, but also friends, professional relationships, and even pets. Twin souls are another type of soulmate, but they are closer to twin flames, by certain characteristics such as telepathy and synchronicities. Twin souls form a couple whose purpose is to prepare for the meeting with one's twin flame. This is what some call a false twin flame, but there is no such thing as a false twin flame. It's just that this person is not your twin flame. So we have several lives at the same time, and if we have two earthly incarnations simultaneously, or with just a few years apart, we can, as a first approximation, consider this as a twin flame. This is one of the explanations for the phenomenon given by Kurt from New World All Star. Some twin flames would therefore be a simultaneous incarnation. There is inevitably a very close connection, a feeling of recognition and a reconnection, since it is the same consciousness. I won't say more about this type of twin flame, because I don't have knowledge about it. If twin flames were only that, then everyone would have one. And this is what explains why some people think that everyone has a twin flame. But there is another explanation, and another type of twin flame that I call the sacred couple, which is the path I am on. In this particular case, it concerns a very small number of people, and it is the structure of the higher consciousness that is different. Everyone's higher consciousness is yin-yang and possesses both feminine and masculine polarities. But for sacred couples, it's not about possessing both polarities, but about always having been a sacred couple. The higher consciousness is made up of a sacred feminine that generates a soul and an earthly persona, and a sacred masculine that generates another soul and another earthly persona. It's not about a soul being split in two, as people often say. Besides, the image of splitting a soul in two is strange. Each twin flame has their own soul, their own identity, as well as their own free will and ego. But they share the same higher consciousness. This explains the phenomena of synchronicity, telepathy, energetic exchanges, and feelings of recognition. This type of twin flame incarnates precisely at this particular time of cycle change in order to help with the transition. This knowledge of cycles is given to us by the primordial tradition and not by the New Age. The primordial tradition is the knowledge of the essence of the sacred, which lies behind all traditions and religions, taking on multiple forms to adapt to place and time. This is what esotericism is, even going beyond the veil of illusions. The New Age, inspired by the theosophy of Helena Blavatsky and strongly promoted by three-letter agencies in the 1970s and the hippie movements, mixes traditions and religions at the level of their form and not their essence. You cannot directly mix Catholicism and Hinduism at the level of their outward appearance. The New Age is a form of counter-tradition, and in reality it fights against the sacred. You can check out my lecture on the doctrine of cycles for more on this topic. I'll put the link in the comments. To return to the specific role of twin flames, it is about transmuting all psychogenerational burdens and unresolved traumas that block the establishment of a fairer world. To help you understand, I will quickly outline the typical path of a twin flame encounter. There is the meeting, followed by the energetic reconnection. One might think that the twin flame journey starts there, but in fact it began at their birth, leading them to this encounter. This can happen physically in real life, at work, at a party, or at a friend's place. That's the case for most twin flames. In my case, this reconnection happened at a distance, as my other was on another continent. Following the reconnection, there is the triggering of energetic processes, a very strong attraction, inexplicable due to its intensity, a feeling of recognition and telepathic phenomena, for example. This is often, but not always, followed by what is called the honeymoon phase. A few hours, a few days, or even months during which everything seems easy. Some twin flames even become a couple. But this does not last. There is a breakup and separation which trigger the runner-chaser dynamic. During the reconnection, both people feel the attraction and the bond. But one of the two will accept this attraction and do everything possible to be in a relationship with the person. This is what is called the chaser, or the pursuer, or the first to walk the path, or even the divine feminine. Because most people of this type are women. Although this has nothing to do with gender. There are both men and women who can be chasers. The second person will run from the bond, distance themselves, and often block and prevent the reunion. This is the runner, or the one who flees, or the second to walk the path, said to be unawakened to the bond, though only in appearance, or also called the divine masculine. Most of the time, these are men, so it can be either a man or a woman. And if you think you are on such a path, this already gives you some clues. This is followed for the chaser by what is called the dark night of the soul, which is not specific to this journey, but is an essential stage in all spiritual awakening paths. The purpose of this phase is to force the person to confront and heal their unresolved traumas and emotional wounds, and then to turn towards spirituality in order to move beyond their persona and ego. During this phase, the runner acts as a mirror, reflecting back blockages and messages that echo what the chaser needs to work on. Once the chaser manages to stay in the present moment, the runner begins their own phase of work in order to prepare for a reunion in the physical world. So the goal of this alchemical process is to cleanse all dysfunctions, whether they are patterns or limiting beliefs inherited from our past lives, our family, or human history, in order to allow for a better world. Twin flames have difficult lives. Some are mistreated in their childhood, whether in their family, at school, or at work. And all these difficulties and repetitive patterns are simply a mirror showing what needs to be worked on and released. It's not a punishment, it's the role of twin flames to transmute difficulties into possibilities. Twin flames have greater abilities for connection and intuition than most people, as well as more energy, allowing them to overcome obstacles that would defeat most others. And most twin flames are HPI with high intellectual or emotional potential and do not feel like they belong in this crazy world. But that's normal, because their role is not to live in this world as it is, but to create a better world. There you go. I hope this video has helped you better understand what twin flames can be. In the next podcast, I will give you more concrete clues attesting to the reality of the twin flame journey, as well as signs to help you know if you are truly on this path. I will continue with podcasts explaining the different phases of the journey in detail and their importance in relation to the specific role of twin flames in reintroducing the sacred into this world. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and feel free to like and share this video with people who might be interested in this topic. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you. See you soon.